$120 oil shock. Why a Middle East war just stole your savings. The invisible straw hook. You're standing at the gas station staring at the pump. You watch the numbers spin faster than a casino slot machine, but instead of winning, you're losing. A few months ago, oil was a comfortable $60 a barrel. Life was predictable. Then the headlines hit. Iran, Israel, missiles, escalation. Suddenly that $60 price tag vanished, replaced by a terrifying $120. Most people look at the news and see a tragedy. But when you look at the price of oil, you are seeing a global economic heart attack in real time. Whether you drive a truck, a Tesla, or just buy groceries, this war is currently reaching into your pocket and taking a massive cut. But why? Why does a missile fired thousands of miles away determine if you can afford your rent this month? The answer isn't just, war is bad. The answer lies in a complex, high-stakes game of global Jenga, where one wrong move in the Middle East brings the entire world's economy crashing down. Today, we are going to look past the propaganda and the terrifying headlines to explain the $120 oil paradox. We'll explore the choke point of the world, why Wall Street speculators are currently making a killing while you suffer, and how this $120 spike is about to change everything you buy, from your morning coffee to your next flight. If you want to understand the true cost of this conflict, don't look at the maps, look at the oil. Let's dive in. Section 1. The Geography of Fear, the Strait of Hormuz. To understand why the Iran-Israel conflict doubled the price of oil, we have to look at a tiny, 21-mile-wide strip of water called the Strait of Hormuz. In the world of energy, this is the most important real estate on the planet. Think of it as the world's jugular vein. Roughly 20% of the entire world's oil consumption passes through this one narrow passage every single day. That is nearly 20 million barrels of oil moving on massive tankers. If you've ever been stuck in a traffic jam on a one-lane road, you know how frustrating it is. Now imagine that one-lane road is the only way for the world's energy to get to market, and someone just parked a tank in the middle of it. When Iran and Israel enter a direct state of war, the biggest fear for the global economy isn't just the missiles hitting cities, it's the oil blockade. If Iran decides to close the Strait of Hormuz, or if the conflict makes the passage too dangerous for insurance companies to cover those tankers, the global oil supply doesn't just slow down, it stops. The $60 to $120 jump isn't because we've actually run out of oil yet. It's because the market is pricing in the possibility of a total shutdown. In economics, we call this the risk premium. You aren't paying for the oil that exists today, you're paying for the fear that the oil won't be there tomorrow. This is why the price can double in a matter of weeks, even if the tankers are still currently moving. The market is terrified, and in the world of commodities, terror is very, very expensive. Section 2. The Speculator's Game, Paper Oil versus Real Oil. Here's a secret that might make you a little angry. Most of the people trading oil have never touched a drop of it in their lives. They don't have barrels in their garages. They have digital contracts on a screen. When a war breaks out, the paper oil market goes into a frenzy. Hedge funds and algorithmic trading bots see a headline about an explosion in the Middle East, and they immediately hit buy. They aren't buying oil to use it. They are buying it because they know the price is going to go up, and they want to sell it to someone else for a profit in 10 minutes. This creates a feedback loop. The war starts. Speculators buy oil futures contracts. This pushes the price from $60 to $80. Other traders see the price rising and panic buy to hedge their risks. The price hits $100. Suddenly, real-world companies, like airlines and shipping firms, realize they need to buy oil now before it hits $150. The massive surge in demand pushes the price to $120. The $60 price point was based on fundamentals, how much we actually produce versus how much we actually use. The $120 price point is based on psychology. We are currently living in a psychological economy where the price of your life is determined by how much a trader in New York or London thinks a war might escalate. Section 3. The Inflation Bomb. It's not just gas. This is where it gets personal. Many people think, well, I don't drive much, so $120 oil won't hurt me that much. Unfortunately, That's a massive misunderstanding of how the modern world works. Oil is the blood of the global economy. Almost every single physical object you touch was brought to you by oil. The grocery store. Those strawberries you bought didn't grow in the back of the store. They were driven there in a refrigerated truck. That truck runs on diesel. When oil goes from $60 to $120, the cost of moving those strawberries doubles. The grocery store isn't going to just eat that cost. They're going to charge you an extra $2. The plastic world. Look around you. Your phone case, your keyboard, the packaging on your food, even some of the clothes you're wearing, polyester, are made from petroleum products. When raw oil prices double, the cost of manufacturing everything plastic goes up. Agriculture. Modern farming uses massive amounts of fertilizer, which is often produced using natural gas and petroleum-based processes. Higher oil prices mean higher fertilizer prices, which means more expensive corn, wheat, and meat. When we talk about inflation, we are often just talking about oil with a different name. The jump to $120 is effectively a global tax that every single human on Earth has to pay, regardless of whether they own a car or not. This is why central banks like the Federal Reserve get so nervous during a Middle East war. They can raise interest rates all they want, but they can't interest rate their way out of a high oil price caused by a war. Section 4. The winners and the strategic chess. While you're feeling the pain at the pump, someone is popping champagne. Let's look at who wins when oil hits $120. The energy giants. Companies like Exxon, Shell, and Saudi Aramco are currently seeing their profit margins explode. It doesn't cost them twice as much to get the oil out of the ground just because there's a war. Their production costs stay relatively flat. If it costs $30 to pull a barrel out of the sand, and they sell it for $60, they're doing great. If they sell that same barrel for $120, they are making a windfall profit that is almost hard to calculate. OPEC Plus and Russia. For countries like Russia, $120 oil is a massive lifeline. It funds their own military operations and keeps their economy afloat despite international sanctions. High oil prices give petrostates incredible leverage. They can choose to cut production even further to keep the price at $120, effectively using energy as a weapon of war against the West. The renewable pivot. There is one silver lining. High oil prices are the greatest advertisement for electric vehicles and solar power. When gas is $2 a gallon, people don't care about efficiency. When gas is $6 a gallon, everyone starts looking at a Tesla or a bicycle. However, this pivot takes years, and we are feeling the shock today. Section 5. The sequence of returns for your wallet. So how do you survive this? If $120 oil is the new normal for the duration of this conflict, you need to adjust your financial defense. First, stop looking at the daily oil charts. It will only give you anxiety. Instead, look at your energy exposure. If you have a long commute, it might be time to look at carpooling or public transit before the real price of the $120 oil fully hits the gas stations in a few weeks. There is usually a delay. Second, watch the aviation sector. Airlines are the most sensitive to oil prices. If you're planning a vacation for later in 2026, book your flights now. Airlines usually hedge their fuel, meaning they bought their fuel months ago at lower prices. But as those hedges expire, they will have to buy $120 oil, and your ticket price will skyrocket to compensate. Third, look at your investments. During an oil-driven inflation spike, traditional growth stocks, like tech companies, often struggle because their future profits are worth less in today's expensive dollars. Meanwhile, value stocks in the energy and materials sectors tend to outperform. Section 6. The Black Swan. What if it hits $200? We have to talk about the nightmare scenario. If the Iran-Israel war escalates to a point where oil infrastructure in the Persian Gulf is physically destroyed, meaning refineries are on fire and ports are bombed, the $120 price will look like a bargain. Some analysts suggest that a total shutdown of the Persian Gulf could push oil to $200 or even $250 a barrel. At that point, we aren't just talking about expensive gas. We are talking about a global economic depression. Airplanes would stay on the ground, shipping would freeze, and the global supply chain would snap like a dry twig. Is this likely? No. Even the countries involved in the war know that destroying the oil supply is a suicide pact. Iran needs to sell oil to survive. China needs to buy it to keep its factories running. The world is held together by a mutual assured destruction of the economy. But in war, logic often goes out the window. The final reality check. The jump from $60 to $120 is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that our modern digital world is still built on a foundation of 19th century fossils. We are all tethered to a small patch of land in the Middle East, whether we like it or not. The Iran-Israel war isn't just a conflict over borders or religion. It is a conflict over the oxygen of the global economy. As long as those missiles are flying, the price of your life will stay high. The best thing you can do is stay informed, stay flexible, and understand that the red numbers on the stock market and the gas pump are two sides of the same coin. History shows that these spikes are usually temporary. Eventually the war ends, or high prices destroy demand, meaning people stop buying oil because it's too expensive, and the price crashes back down. But until that happens, we are all buckled in for a very expensive ride. If you want a breakdown of which specific stocks are the safest to hold when oil hits $120, or if you want me to explain the petrodollar system and why it might be collapsing, let me know in the comments. Stay smart, stay calm, and keep your eye on the invisible straw.